Beneath the dense shadows of ancient forests, where towering pines whisper secrets carried by the night wind, there exists a creature whose legend has outlived generations. Bigfoot, known by many names, feared by some, doubted by others, but endlessly fascinating to all who dare to explore the unknown. Tonight, we journey into some of the most chilling, mysterious, and true encounters ever reported. Stories told by witnesses whose voices still tremble, whose memories remain vivid, and whose lives were forever changed by what they saw, or what they think they saw, hidden deep in the wilderness where human footsteps rarely tread. For centuries, the legend of Bigfoot has woven itself through Native American folklore, pioneer journals, forest ranger reports, and late-night campfire confessions. These stories vary in tone and detail, but they all share a haunting core, an encounter with something massive, powerful, human-like yet undeniably wild, something that walks between the worlds of myth and reality. As we unravel these tales, imagine yourself standing in the heart of an untouched forest, the trees creaking overhead, the underbrush rustling with unseen movement. Feel the cold air on your skin, the eerie quiet in your ears, and the weight of the unknown pressing in from all directions. Our first story takes us to the secluded woodlands of Northern California, a region famous for its towering redwoods and mysterious disappearances. A hunter named Douglas had spent decades navigating these forests, tracking wildlife with a seasoned eye and unmatched confidence. But one foggy dawn, his expertise was challenged in a way he could never have imagined. While following a fresh set of deer tracks, he noticed something strange imprinted in the damp soil beside them, an enormous footprint, nearly twice the length of his boot, with 5 distinct toes. At first, he assumed it was a prank, but as he followed the trail deeper into the forest, the prints grew fresher, clearer, and more frequent. Soon, he detected a musky smell hanging in the air, unlike anything he'd ever encountered. A low, rhythmic breathing echoed through the trees. Before he could react, a massive shadow shifted between the trunks just 20 yards ahead. Douglas froze. What stepped out was not a bear. It was tall, easily over 8 feet, with broad shoulders, thick matted hair, and eyes that glowed with an unsettling intelligence. The creature stared at him for several seconds that felt like an eternity, then turned and vanished silently, moving with impossible grace for its size. Douglas never returned to that part of the forest again. Another encounter comes from the fog-covered mountains of Washington state. A woman named Marlene, a lifelong hiker, had always dismissed Bigfoot stories as exaggerations. But one autumn afternoon, she found herself alone on an isolated trail, surrounded by falling leaves and an uneasy stillness. She heard heavy, deliberate footsteps pacing alongside her, just beyond the tree line. When she called out, the footsteps stopped, but then, moments later, they resumed, matching her movements step for step. As she quickened her pace, the unseen presence did the same. The forest felt as though it was holding its breath. Panic gripped her when she saw a massive silhouette lurking among the fir trees, its towering frame partially obscured by branches. She couldn't see its face clearly, but she felt its gaze locked on her, intense and unblinking. Suddenly, the creature emitted a deep, resonant grunt that vibrated in her chest. She ran until her legs gave out. To this day, Marlene refuses to hike alone, convinced that what followed her that afternoon was not human and not any animal known to science. While some encounters occur deep in the wild, others happen disturbingly close to home. In a quiet rural town in Oregon, a family living near the forest edge experienced a series of bizarre events that escalated into terror. It began with loud knocks on their walls late at night, heavy, deliberate blows that shook the entire cabin. At first, they suspected pranksters, but no footprints or tire marks were ever found. Then came the strange howls, echoing through the night, long, mournful cries unlike wolves or coyotes. The family dog refused to go outside after dark, cowering under furniture whenever the sounds began. One evening, the eldest son glanced outside and saw a gigantic figure standing near the tree line, swaying back and forth as though observing the house. Its arms hung nearly to its knees, and its eyes reflected a dull amber glow when the porch light flickered. The figure disappeared into the woods, but the fear remained. Eventually, the family moved away, leaving the property abandoned. Locals still whisper about the night the creature allegedly pressed its massive hand against the cabin window, leaving behind a smudged print far larger than any human hand. Not all stories are rooted in fear. Some encounters leave people with a strange sense of peace, as though they've glimpsed a guardian spirit rather than a monster. In the dense forests of Montana, a man named Alan was searching for his missing daughter, who had wandered away during a family camping trip. Hours passed, and desperation grew. Just as he was about to shout her name again, he heard soft footsteps behind him. Turning around, he saw a towering figure partially hidden by the trees. At first, terror surged through him, until he noticed something surprising. The creature was not advancing but gently guiding his daughter toward him. The girl appeared calm, even curious, as if she had been walking alongside the creature without fear. The moment Alan approached, the massive figure stepped back into the shadows, letting the child go. Before he could speak or move, the creature let out a low, almost soothing hum and disappeared into the forest. Alan never reported the encounter, fearing ridicule, but he remains convinced Bigfoot saved his daughter from danger. One of the most disturbing encounters comes from the Appalachian Mountains, where two campers named Brian and Lucas experienced something that changed them forever. While sitting by their campfire late at night, they heard what sounded like a person crying out from the darkness. Concerned, they grabbed their flashlights and followed the sound deeper into the woods. The cries grew louder, more frantic, echoing through the trees. Then, without warning, the sound stopped. The forest fell silent. As they debated turning back, a foul odor washed over them, rank, animalistic, and overwhelming. Branches snapped nearby. Suddenly, a massive shape charged toward them, shaking the ground with its weight. They caught only a glimpse of its towering silhouette before sprinting back to their campsite. When they returned in the daylight to retrieve their belongings, they found enormous footprints circling the area and deep claw marks carved into a tree trunk. Whatever chased them had come terrifyingly close. In the snow-covered wilderness of Canada, a trapper named Elijah reported a harrowing encounter that still haunts him decades later. While checking his traps during a harsh winter, he noticed strange disturbances in the snow, large, human-like footprints that followed the path he had taken earlier. He felt watched, but the forest remained quiet. That night, the silence broke with thunderous pounding on his cabin door, followed by guttural growls. Terrified, Elijah peeked through the cracks in the wooden boards and saw a massive creature pacing outside. Its breath formed, thick white clouds in the icy air. It seemed agitated, almost enraged. Elijah stayed awake until dawn, clutching his rifle but never daring to open the door. When the sun finally rose, the creature was gone, but its enormous tracks surrounded the cabin in a perfect circle, as though it had been guarding, or threatening, him through the night. As these stories spread across regions and generations, they paint a picture of a creature both elusive and deeply intelligent. It avoids confrontation unless provoked, moves through forests with silent precision, and demonstrates behavior that suggests curiosity about humans rather than simple instinct. So many eyewitnesses, hunters, hikers, loggers, campers, even police officers, describe similar details: the towering height, the powerful build, the long arms, the dark fur, the glowing eyes, and the uncanny ability to vanish into the forest without a trace. These accounts, scattered across continents, carry a haunting consistency that makes the legend harder to dismiss. But perhaps the most compelling evidence lies not in footprints or sightings, but in the emotional impact left on those who encounter the creature. People describe feeling watched, studied, or even judged by an intelligence that seems both ancient and wild. Some feel fear, others awe, but all walk away changed. Many find themselves returning to the forest seeking answers, hoping to find clarity in the wilderness that once terrified them. There is a reason Bigfoot continues to capture the human imagination. It represents the mystery that still exists in a world dominated by technology and discovery. It reminds us that not everything has been mapped, explained, or understood. There are still secrets hidden in the dark corners of our planet, waiting to be uncovered. The legend persists because it speaks to something primal, our desire to believe that the world is bigger and stranger than we can comprehend. As the night deepens and you listen to these stories, imagine the forests beyond your window, the silent hills, the dark edges of the wilderness where light rarely reaches. Somewhere out there, perhaps only miles away, something ancient may be watching, listening, and moving just out of sight. Whether Bigfoot is a guardian, a survivor of an unknown species, or simply a legend born from fear and imagination, the mystery continues to thrive. One thing is certain: in the heart of the wild, where the trees stand tall and the shadows grow long, the legend of Bigfoot still walks among us, waiting for those brave enough, or unlucky enough, to cross its path.